Have you ever noticed that sometimes when you're trying to heal, trying to break patterns in your life, sometimes you find things that feel like they need to change on a deeper level, a deeper soul level than what therapy or mindset work or other types of healing can really reach? Sometimes the blocks that we experience don't come from this lifetime. They actually come from something deeper. And that is often the things that I see that really take this deeper soul level healing. So, like I said, sometimes the blocks that we experience aren't from this lifetime. They're actually from past lives, from repeated karmic patterns, repeated soul contracts that we have throughout many lifetimes. And that is really true, especially if these are things, if a pattern comes to your mind that you're dealing with or things you've dealt with in the past, that you've already tried to go to therapy, you've already tried all the mindset work, you've tried to heal these patterns, and for some reason, no matter what you do, you keep finding yourself repeating these patterns over and over and over again. Some examples of these things can be unhealthy or toxic relationships, or self-sacrifice, issues with self-worth and self-love, visibility wounds, witch wounds, feeling blocked in your career, or feeling really confused or lost when it comes to your mission or your life purpose, your soul purpose. If this is you, you probably have a sense that there is something deeper to yourself and more to this life than what most people see, than what is commonly known and seen. And you crave knowing yourself on that deeper level and connecting to your higher self and connecting to your own innate ability to heal yourself and to have that confidence through your intuition to be able to break these patterns once and for all for good. So these patterns show up because they are either soul contracts or karmic lessons that your soul has to learn in order to stop repeating this pattern and move on once and for all. Because once you're able to do that, you clear that karma. You no longer are doomed to have to keep repeating the same painful lessons lifetime after lifetime. So if this feels like you, it's very likely that once you do the work to clear the karmic soul contracts, that you won't have to come back and reincarnate again. Or if you do, that you won't be doomed to another life where you're repeating these same painful patterns, because once you learn it and once you clear it, it's kind of like graduating from that grade or passing that test, and then you move on to the next level and you're free from having to repeat these same painful patterns. So how do you do this? You might be wondering. Well, the absolute best way that I have found to be able to clear these soul contracts and clear all of this karma are things that are much deeper than the common practices that we're told. They are needing to deal with our past life and our soul and our Akashic records and all of these deeper things that we really can only access through our subconscious mind, through our quantum connection. And so quantum hypnosis is the absolute best thing that I have found to be able to do this work. And about a year ago, I got certified as a Beyond Quantum Healing practitioner. So that is a form of quantum hypnosis that specifically, at least the way that I hold my sessions and my work, is specifically dealing with exactly this, of what are your soul themes, what are your soul patterns, soul lessons, karmic contracts, what are these things? And diving into how do we learn about it, understand it, and in that learning and in that understanding, then you actually see what you need to do to either clear it right there in that session, or have the motivation, the strength, the knowledge, the ability to be able to make the hard changes in your life so that you can clear that pattern. And then, like I said, you won't have to keep repeating it in this life or in future lives. If you're curious about this type of work, you can see the link in the description box about my Beyond Quantum Healing work. So I want to share an example with you now of a session that my friend had, and I have her permission to share this. So she had a past life regression where she learned that time after time, lifetime after lifetime, she had a karmic pattern of self-sacrifice. And she saw lifetimes of her repeating this pattern. She had a past lifetime where she was a man who self-sacrificed his own well-being and his time with wanting to spend his time with his family for his career. And another past life where she was a mom who sacrificed herself for her family. And at the time of this session, she saw how she was actually in the exact same self-sacrifice pattern in this life. And that knowing, seeing that so clearly, helped her have the motivation to make those hard changes, right? Because if you're someone who self-sacrifices, or any pattern that you're really ingrained in, that's your way of being, your way of doing life, it's not just as easy as like, oh, now I know, now I'm gonna break out of the pattern. It takes work to make new choices, to do different things, to set boundaries, and receive that pushback from other people when you set your boundaries, and have the strength to be able to hold your boundaries anyway, to be able to do the work that needs to be done to break this pattern and clear this karma, clear this soul contract. So being able to see it in this past life regression gave her the strength and the determination to say, no more, I'm not doing this anymore, and to be able to make those hard decisions moving forward, and then clear herself for her future, for all of her future lives. And I actually did a session with her earlier this week, and I'll be posting that, sharing that to my YouTube soon as I get a chance to edit all of that video, because there's a lot of long pauses in between the questions and answers. So anyway, I did a session with her earlier this week, and so she was coming into that session already having really cleared this pattern in her life, and that was done through a previous session. And then in this session, she saw her very first incarnation. And in that very first incarnation, it was really cool. She connected to the fairies and the mermaids and the angelic beings and all these different beings. That's a different part of this story and that experience. So in this session, she saw that this was her very first incarnation, and that in this incarnation, she saw so clearly what her life purpose is, what her soul purpose is, and how she is meant to show up and carry out the healing work that she wants to do in this world. She was feeling like, oh my God, why am I drawn to Reiki and this thing and somatic and EMDR and this type of healing, that type of healing, what crystals, and right? Why am I drawn to all these different things? It's really confusing. Am I meant to pursue all these different things? And in her session, it became really clear, no, you are not meant to pursue all of these things. You are meant to know about all of these things because your soul purpose is to be the bridge, the visionary. And she had always had a dream of having her own healing center, or having some sort of place like that where she held a container for other healing practitioners to come in and connect people with that healing, and right, being that bigger visionary of like someone who runs a healing center. And she got really clear that she's not meant to do one-on-one session, hands-on sessions with people anymore. She is really meant to do this with her life, and saw how in her first incarnation she was doing that, and she did that in her first incarnation because that was like setting the foundation, the blueprint, the experience for you've done this before. And then lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, she has this curiosity about her soul that lifetime after lifetime she saw how she was sacrificing herself and patterns that got in the way of her really doing this soul mission, but that was all for a divine purpose, that she had this curiosity in her soul. She chose at the end of that first incarnation, she chose to come back and experience more because she wanted that experience. And now it became very clear to her in this session, which let me just say that in these sessions, it is not about me telling you the answer or telling her what she is meant for or not. It is me helping guide her into a hypnosis state, a theta brainwave state, where your conscious mind turns off, shuts off. It's totally safe. It's not like you're gonna nothing bad's gonna happen to you. It's kind of like right before you fall asleep, you're in that theta brainwave state where your conscious mind isn't running the show and your subconscious awakens and comes online. And right, it's like if you are someone who's intuitive and you have an intuitive thought, and then really quickly your conscious mind, that intuitive thought came from your subconscious connection to your higher self, to these divine answers that you hold within you, but then your conscious mind comes in really quickly and goes, oh, well, I don't know where that came from. Oh, well, I can't do this because of that, right? Your conscious mind is wonderful. It serves a purpose and we need it, but it also can be a barrier to doing this type of healing when it isn't done through hypnosis. So hypnosis activates that subconscious mind and opens the channel for people to have such clarity in trusting their own answers, in hearing their own guidance. So in my sessions, I guide people, and in this session, I guided her to not be me telling her answers, but me helping her find her own answers. So all of these things that I'm sharing came directly from her and her inner knowing. And she already had these things deep within her, but like I said, it's really hard to access them in our normal conscious life, and especially as intuitive, sensitive women, we are conditioned in this world to not trust our intuition and to disconnect from these abilities. So back to her session. Once she was able to see that this was her original incarnation, this was her soul purpose, and she actually chose at the end of that life, that very first life, she actually chose to incarnate lifetime after lifetime, having all of these difficult experiences and many beautiful experiences in all of that, right? But having all of those lifetimes to learn these lessons, to experience what it felt like to self-sacrifice, and then in this life to come back to not self-sacrificing and really to have that karmic closure, that soul closure of having it come through really clearly that this is her last incarnation, and all she has to do is just follow that deep inner calling, that deep knowing that she wants to have some sort of a healing center or wants to be that connector when it comes to healing work. And because she's a good friend of mine and we had talked about it for a long time, I had known about this, but also in my sessions, I sit with you and get to know you so that I can have this knowledge coming in to help guide you. But with her, I knew that this is something that she's been wanting for a long time, and it's something she's felt so confused on like, why am I felt like I'm supposed to do Reiki and I'm supposed to do this and I'm supposed to do that, and got the clarity, oh, it's because I was learning, and now I have all of the pieces. I learned all of the things, I overcame all of the patterns, and now all I have to do is trust that soul calling and put all of these pieces together. And by doing that, she completes her mission. She completes this, at least this cycle of incarnations and this soul mission and all of the karmic lessons, all of the soul patterns that she had to clear to be able to really, I don't want to say ascend, but just grow, right? Each level of our soul is growth. And incarnating is a certain type of growth. And now, once she completes all of this, through all of this deep knowing, through her session, then her soul is free to grow and to move on to the next level, the next grade. She won't have to come back and re-experience the pain and re-experience that possibility, right? If she hadn't actualized that soul mission, then she would have to keep coming back until she was able to actualize that soul mission, because when it's in your heart in that deep way, then you can try to ignore it, but it's not going away. So real quick, before I wrap up this video, I want to share what a karmic pattern is and what a soul contract is, because I've been using these words throughout the video and I don't want it to be confusing. These are my own definitions, so take it or leave it. A karmic pattern is a pattern that represents a certain lesson or series of lessons that we as a soul need to learn. And it's not punishment for doing wrong or for being bad, but a divine balancing out that has to happen for our soul to learn the lessons that we need to grow and to graduate to that next level. So, for example, I had the karmic pattern of unhealthy relationships, and that pattern kept showing up in my life time after time, and also through my past life regression work, lifetime after lifetime. And it kept showing up, and it was pushing me to learn boundaries and self-love and self-respect. And once I was able to realize this and learn those things, then I cleared that karma. So not only do I not have to re-experience these things in this lifetime, but I don't have to keep reincarnating to have this pain again, to try to be pushed to learn this lesson. The lesson has been learned. And now a soul contract is the agreement that we make in spirit, in soul form, before coming into this life, this incarnation, this body, this person. And our soul contracts are the ways in which we learn those lessons. So with me, it was the soul contract of meeting certain people, having certain experiences at certain stages in my life in order to be pushed to learn that lesson. This is the exact work that I love doing with people in my Beyond Quantum Healing sessions. So if you are curious about that work, all of the details are in the description box. Thank you for joining me.